My name is Paula Soraghan, and I'm delighted to have been chosen to share tomorrow's story. I can relate to feeling like I shouldn't speak up for fear of being disruptive or making others feel uncomfortable. It's a very courageous and empowering thing to say, enough is enough. Then you start to live life on your own terms. I feel that myself and the character of Tamara are finding our voices together and our true sense of self. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the performance. I am out with lanterns looking for myself. Sunday morning, and it wasn't yet dawn. I waited and did a check-in with my body. Yes, I had to pee. Angry at my necessity, I thought to myself, please stop, bladder. Okay, I'm my own woman. I only drank 2 cups of tea yesterday, so it's a tiny pee. I can hold it. I'm going to hold it. I think that's a bit of dawn I see. Yep, it's getting brighter. Jesus, this is getting uncomfortable. Note to self, Tamara, only have 1 cup of tea tomorrow when you're going to John's with Mum. I shifted my hips as much as I could and imagined my organs and skin were not pressing. They had no weight. I imagined my body was a collection of cells. I take a deep breath. All those cells had no weight. It was no good. There was water suspending all my cells, and a torrent was being held back by some skin balloon stretched to its limit behind the fat of my belly. That compulsive weight made me want to burst. Not wanting to make a sound, because everyone was asleep, I focused on the light, rhythmic snoring of my mother. Comforting sound that made me feel safe and strengthened my resolve. Mom's presence made me feel that way, but at times I felt childlike, which frustrated me because I'm a young woman. Not wanting to make a fuss, I willed myself to hold it until somebody woke up. I knew it would be Mom. Dawn had started, and light was brightening the bedroom. Please, let someone get up. Please. In the kitchen, I had my clothes on that my mother laid out for me and my younger sister helped me get into. The colour was particularly disgusting when accompanied ad nauseum by a slightly faded version, heated ad nauseum in leggings, pinafore, and high-necked, long-sleeved t-shirt. Why didn't I ever pick out my own clothes? Has it always bothered me? The radio was playing loudly throughout the house and stopped my train of thought. The latest COVID deaths were announced. Radio 1, always on a Sunday morning, was an audible worship. The news was a dreadful break in the household reverie. I felt slightly uneasy. My mother peeled potatoes for 8.5 people and muttered about the broccoli turning beige. Sunday dinner was already being battered about the kitchen while the radio threat of a real lockdown loomed. I was grateful for my empty bladder, but still festered in my outfit. The kitchen was full of siblings who jostled for perceived territory, attention, and the slices instead of the heel. Then Da walked in. He'd been to the Spar and was armed with the Indo and Daily Mail. He headed toward the only peninsula on the Rhine family island. Finally, he tried to awkwardly get past me in my chair. I caught his eye. "Morning, Da," I said joyfully. Well, I thought it was upbeat and sunny, like a hot July Phoenix Park. His face registered nothing, so I guess not. He talked to everyone else on his saunter. And it was a January deluge on a constantly raining Irish day. Going to be a brutal breakfast. I thought I wouldn't be ignored. Dad was as far away from me as he could get. Mam was busy burning eggs in the microwave and delicately cutting sprigs of parsley to hide the rubbery bright yellow deflated scrambled eggs. The radio was kicking it up a notch, and there was some happy 60s song playing. The Turtles, "So Happy Together," followed, and I was lost in my own thoughts as the smell of eggs, the noise of siblings, and the sight of that colour I was dressed in, head to toe, all did their best to score out my senses and wreck my sensibilities. The news was on again, and there was more talk of COVID, a progression of some other doom, and literally the kitchen grew darker as a cloud must have passed across the sun. Dad was closing the paper, and he had a pod in his ear, so he really had been off on a sojourn via the kitchen island. Dad spoke to the boys in turn about some TV programme they'd all bonded over. At length, they discussed the highlighted characters and paper-thin excuses. I thought to myself, what a drama to capture so many heads. He critiqued the breakfast and noted the consistency of 5-star New York hotel scrambled eggs and chicken sausages. I cringed for my mother and older sister. Some particular thought floated out from the radio, and the family around it gabbled, pondering on implications and offering versions of opinions. I wanted to go to the laptop in the living room and search for some Billie Eilish, making a menu of the specific songs I was going to listen to in my head, and manoeuvring my dirty wheels across the white kitchen tiles. Dad spoke in a raised voice. "Tamara!" I felt my shoulders freeze in position, and I no longer noticed the grip on my wheels. My wheelchair became the wheelchair because it slipped from my directive. Frozen. I was frozen, and time stood still in the kitchen. Here it comes. The criticism. No matter what you say, you are wrong. Blood drained from my face. "Tamara, how was your week?" I took a brief look at his face and decided to see he was calm. "Great. Thanks, Dad." My mother took the hint, shrilled over a nearly boiled kettle. "Will you be going to Phil's this week, pet?" "So why would she go there?" Dad spat. He had an all too often tendency to speak for me, and didn't seem to mind that I barely left the house. Mom backed up into the sink, tilted her head, took an audible breath and said, because it's good for her to mix with people. This COVID thing is getting serious, so she should go out and about while she can. What if there is a lockdown? No difference to me, I thought. Go on, would you? Lockdown means wash your hands and carry on as normal for us Ryans. No difference to me, I thought. It means curtailing going out for snooker, Mom said. Dad sneered, and his eyes narrowed. No difference to me, I thought. Dad made a play of opening the mail on Sunday and balancing the endo on his lap. Tamara, where would you be going? I stared blankly and spoke in a timid voice. To the library. Get them online. No, sure, I'll drive you, Dad said behind the paper. I was thinking the bus. My voice trailed off because I knew I had signalled some sort of independence to my dad. I braced for the fallout. Tamara, the library's all shelves, and that rap is rubbish. Dad took a deep inhale. Remember the time we went there and you got stuck on the turn? I did remember making a turn on the bottom of the ramp and lining up perfectly to go up, and Dad freaking out over a 12-inch drop on my left-hand side. I was 20 centimetres away from it. Dad had called out loudly to passing staff and demanded names and telephone numbers of any supervisor or a manager, citing disgrace and shame on the library bricks and mortar. I wanted to melt into the wood of the front door. Tamara, look, you're in your final year of school. This COVID thing won't bother you. Why did he think he had the authority to know what I needed or knew what was best for me? It was so draining. The radio seemed to have sprung into life as I started registering what was being said. Dad, listen, it's going to happen. There'll be a lockdown. No, there won't. This isn't the movies. Relax. Dad started to lower the paper that he wasn't reading for a while, pushed a hand through his hair, and he seemed so self-assured. Suddenly, I felt a snake of panic uncurl in the pit of my stomach. A languid serpent that I was barely aware of suddenly made me startled. A revelation came into my head. I was locked up in my own home. The panic began to take over and made my breathing shallow and my heart raced. I am locked up. I'm imprisoned in my own home. Dad, listen. I never cut across or contradicted my father, but I noticed my fists were clenched and I felt a little tremor start in my hands. You don't have to worry, Princess, he said patronizingly. We'll all be grand, he announced from the other end of the kitchen. He's not listening to me, I realized. My father looked at me as his little girl, his precious daughter. He was always thinking, she is so much against her, I must protect her. But I wasn't being protected. I was being infantilized. She doesn't know what's good for her, he thought. I have to make sure she's okay. If she knew what was out there, what could happen to her, it didn't bear thinking about. That world is so bad, and I'm keeping her in here where it's safe. When would he realize, I know what's best for me? It dawned on me. I had to make my parents realize. I said under my breath. There's more to life than this. I have dreams and aspirations like everyone else. Enough is enough. I need to say something now, or I never will. Dad, I'm going to college, I said in a voice out loud. So loud, I didn't recognize the voice. It came from a place deep inside me. Piece of my authentic self shone through. Tamara, come on. There was a touch of snideness in how he said it. I was seated near the table and looked at how neatly it was set. Then I did it. I nudged my plate, and then I had an idea. I make him listen to me, I thought. With the back of my hand, and in one smooth movement, I knocked the plate off the table. Dad, I'm going to college, I said it with confidence. No, you're not. He was incredulous. Dad, I'm going to college, I said, and I knocked my sister's plate on the ground. Tamara, would you be more careful? He raised his voice and scolded me with his eyes. In the back of his mind, he registered I'd done it on purpose, but he couldn't come to terms with what he'd just witnessed. Dad, I am going to college, I said, and I knocked my mother's plate on the ground. Now will you listen to me? I am going to college, Dad. I felt myself grow bigger. That was my voice ringing in my ears. Cool, calm, and strong. For the first time in my life, I felt in control. I was the snake killer. I smiled inwardly, my face impassive. I turned to my mother and announced in disgust, Mom, I really hate pink.